I can therefore declare that Lucy Powell has been elected as Deputy Leader of the Labour Party. A huge congratulations to Lucy.
Sacked from the Cabinet just a few weeks ago by the Prime Minister, now Lucy Powell will be his deputy in the party anyway. It was all behind closed doors today. Some might say it was kept a little low-key.
People feel that this government is not being bold enough in delivering the kind of change we promised. I'll be a champion for our Labour values and boldness in everything we do. It starts with us wrestling back the political megaphone and setting the agenda more strongly. We've let Farage and his ilk run away with it. He wants to blame immigration for all the country's problems. We reject that.
Her competition was widely considered to be Sir Keir Starmer's favourite, Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson. The result was a clear message to the government about the direction members want the Labour Party to head, and that they don't want to out-reform reform, or the Tories for that matter.
That is what we're up against on the right of politics. A politics of division and grievance that wants to take this great country to a very dark place. Our job, whoever we are in this party, is to unite every single person in this country.
The deputy leadership contest all came about, of course, because of Angela Rayner resigning after breaching the ministerial code over underpaying tax on her house. A recent YouGov poll showed 84% of people know who Angela Rayner is, but little more than a third know who Lucy Powell is. And it comes at a time when Labour is struggling. It's a party that lately keeps losing voters and losing track. A miscellany of problems since taking power. Just in the last day, a manhunt for a migrant sex offender who was mistakenly released from prison, while there's a crisis in the justice system and at a time when the asylum process is under the microscope. And the party suffering its first electoral defeat in Caerphilly for 100 years, losing to Plaid Cymru in the Welsh Parliament by-election. It's been a bruising week for Labour. Getting hammered in Caerphilly shows just how high the stakes now are. But Lucy Powell's role is all about the party itself, and so they'll now be focusing on getting the party message through to voters. But will they agree on that message in the first place? Well, perhaps Keir Starmer regrets booting her out now, although today she insisted it wasn't awkward. The Prime Minister sacked you a few weeks ago. Has he got to eat some humble pie now?
No, we're going to work really well together. We're both determined that we need to make sure that the Labour Party is the party that can defeat the forces of hate and division that are now coming through our country, and we're going to work really closely together, myself and Keir. We just had a good chat about that, about how we're going to do that.
You've got to admit, though, the Labour Party is in a bit of a mess. It's not reaching out to people. The voters just aren't seeing what the Labour Party's standing for at the moment.
Well, that's what I'm really here to help with. I want to help tell a much stronger story about how Labour is fixing the real problems that this country faces, not the problems that others are suggesting we've got.
Many say the job of Deputy Labour leader is worthy but dull. A lot of campaigning on what the party stands for. Dame Margaret Beckett, who held the role in the 90s, said no one in their right mind would want it. Lucy Powell says she is in her right mind. The question is whether that will be enough to reinvigorate Labour.
Well, now joining me here in the studio, Sienna Rodgers, who's Deputy Editor of the House magazine and former editor of the Labour List website, and Neal Lawson, former advisor to Gordon Brown, who's co-founder of Mainstream Labour Network, set up to reverse what it sees as the party's drift to the right. Sienna Rodgers, let me ask you first, I'm minded of that film Hot Fuzz, Bring On the Noise. In her speech today, Lucy Powell's suggesting she wants to do that. She wants to kind of drown out Nigel Farage, deliver on promises, get back to what we were elected for. Is she the person to deliver that?
Well, exactly. She wants to drown out the noise by being louder, but specifically a certain kind of noise, which she feels is what the Labour membership is crying out for. So not trying to out-reform reform is really the message of the left and the soft left of the party. They don't want to be announcing policies that look a lot like reforms policies. It does seem like the party at the moment, the leadership, is a little bit confused about what its strategy is. On the one hand, it's saying that Reform's immigration policies are racist and use that word. Keir Starmer took that step. On the other hand, they do have sometimes policies that, if you take a step back and you're not completely all over the detail, look a lot like those Reform policies.
Indeed, they do. So, Neal, Lawson, Sienna Rodgers has basically a push to the left and as noisy one as possible. Is that what we can expect?
Well, I would describe it as a push to the mainstream of the party. 95% of the party want taxes on wealth. They want public ownership of utilities like water. They want proportional representation. That this is an existential crisis for the party. The moment that Lucy's come in, I think she's had a good victory.
Oh, come on, existential for the party leader, not for the party, surely.
The two things are going to go together, I think, Alex, because we've just gone from 46% in Caerphilly, winning every election for 100 years, to 11%. And if I was an electoral strategist in the leadership at the moment, I would be absolutely worried to death, by the fact that people are going to find, their whole premise is that people will vote for the alternative to Reform. But what the Plaid vote showed in Caerphilly is that they'll only vote for the progressive alternative to the Labour Party. And at the moment, the Labour Party is not viewed as progressive. And that could open up the Labour Party vote to the Greens in England.
You mean left? Spit it out. You mean left?
I mean in tune with what the country needs and what the party membership needs. You can call it, you can put any title on it you want, but it seems to everyone in the country a common sense that we tax wealth, that we get rid of the two-child benefit limit, that we bring utilities like water into public ownership, and we change our democracy through policies like proportional representation. You can call it what you want, but everyone knows that's what's needed, and if we don't do it, the party is going to die.
Oh, that's what's wanted. On that note, though, Sienna Rodgers, it wasn't exactly an emphatic victory, was it? It shows the party fairly deeply divided. Bridget Phillipson did pretty well.
So I think it wasn't the worst result for the leadership, not at all. I mean, first of all, it was restricted in terms of the options that were put to the members because there was such a high bar in terms of the kind of MP nominations that they had to get. Only 2 candidates were then put forward to members. So in terms of the kind of tone of the contest, it could have been a lot worse for the leadership. It could have been a lot more critical. Actually, Lucy Powell, she's not from the left of the party. She's from the kind of middle of the party.
Well, then, speaking of could be a lot worse, I'm thinking of May next year, the election. Yes. Is that now make or break for Sir Keir Starmer?
Well, many of his MPs say exactly that. I've spoken to several of them this week. It's really up to what the parliamentary party says. And those MPs are telling me, come May, that's when I think the result of this deputy leadership election may start to look a bit more significant, actually, because we know that Lucy Powell, for example, is quite close to Andy Burnham. I mean, he's not in the parliamentary party, but he's one person that's eyeing the leadership. A lot of people have given Starmer the deadline of May, and it looks like from this Caerphilly election result, it's going to be a bloodbath. That's certainly what Labour members and MPs are expecting.
Right, Neal Lawson, a lot of people, Sienna says, giving the May elections as a deadline for make or break for Sir Keir Starmer. You'd agree?
I think it could come before that, Alex. I think Sienna's right. I think this wasn't a bad result for Bridget Phillipson and that right-wing clique, that hyper-faction that's running the Labour Party. They will be spotting their opportunity. They may not want to wait until May when people like Andy Burnham, may be in Parliament, or Angela Rayner may be back in the ring. They may go before that. They may go after the budget. We don't know. We know that they're, very intent on keeping their rigid control of the party, so that they'll make any move that they can when they can. But that won't be the answer for the Labour Party, and it won't be the answers for the country, because what we need is this political reset and not just a change of leadership at the top.
As you've outlined. Neal Lawson, Sienna Rodgers, thank you both very much indeed for coming in.